So this is our mesh with the texture applied so far. There are a couple of problems with the material that we've set up. The first being that these eyes are glowing white instead of that yellowy orange color, and I'd also like the specular color, or the light that's reflecting off this object, to also have a little bit of that color from the underlying texture, just to give the impression that light is actually penetrating this object and then sort of being reflected or refracted out, as if this is a sort of a softer object, or a light absorbing object like skin or flesh. Now the reason for these problems is that each of these channels is essentially a grayscale channel, which means that they're not carrying color information, they're just carrying a information from, I think, 0 to 255, which will be a shade of grey or black or white. So what we need is to inject some color into these channels before they come to emissive, or the specular input. So the first thing that I'm going to tackle is the specular, so we can get a better reflection or reflective color. To do that, I'm going to come down to Math and then Add. I'm just going to add together the basic texture, or the RGB output, with the R output that we are currently using for our emissive texture. If we switch on the preview button, we can see that we still have this sort of, it's a very pale white, almost white light, but it does have that, just that hint, that suggestion of the color from underneath. So I'm just going to plug that straight into the specular. I might bring that down. Now the next thing that we need to tackle is the color coming from the eyes. Now we can't use an add node like we did here, because all that will do is add the white parts in this alpha channel to the background texture, meaning that the whole thing will suddenly start glowing red with white eyes, which is kind of the opposite of a good result. So what we're going to use instead is we'll come down to Math and pick a multiply node. Now if we take the color and multiply that by the alpha, switch on preview, you can see that we've actually got those orangey yellow eyes are the only things that are visible. That's because everything that is black in this texture will remain black. Anything that is a grayscale up to white will be multiplied by the background color and will create this color here. So with that fixed up, I'm going to plug that into the emissive channel, and I might drag that down there and this up here. Either way, it's not really making it any more or less easy to follow, but now supposing we wanted this glow to be more pronounced than this, and just to check to make sure that that glow is working, in this window, if we hold down the L key and we move our mouse around, you can see that we're actually moving the light in this level. Now if we put the object into darkness, you can see that there is still that orangey light coming through, but it is fairly subtle. It might be nice to have that light actually come through a little bit brighter than that. So what we can do is we can re-multiply the result from this multiply node. So I'm just going to move this back to here. I'm going to put another multiply node just between this and the emissive channel. Now in order for this to work, we need a number to multiply by. And so I'm just going to pick a constant, new constant, which is the same as a single channel, either an RG or B or an alpha. In fact, you can see in the node properties it is actually labeled as R, so it is assuming that this is like the red channel, but it's actually a grayscale value. So I'm just going to times the color by 1, and you can see we have an identical result to here. That's because everything here is times by 1, which means that it's the same value here. If we wanted it to be dimmer, we can times it by 0.5, and now everything that's here, we have half that value resulting in this node. If we wanted to make it brighter, we can times it by 2, and now this is twice as bright as whatever color we have from this node. So with that done, I'm just going to plug that into the emissive channel there. Now if we have time, yes, I think we do, what if we wanted this I, instead of having this constant color, we wanted it to pulse with this light, so going from bright to dim. Well, we can do that with a sine node, and that's also under math. It's down the bottom there, so I might just go up here and click on new sine node. Now a sine node takes an input value and applies a sine operation to it, making it somewhere on a sine wave between 0.5 and negative 0.5, or it could be 1 and negative 1. I'm not sure, I failed math, but the actual sign will be somewhere between those numbers. Now if we want that to change over time, what we need to input into this is a time node. And so coming down to utility, and that's just off the screen, utility, new time. If we plug this into the sine node, and we turn on its preview, we can see that it is actually pulsing from white to a grayscale image. Now if we bring this down and plug this into the B of our multiply node, you can see that we are pulsing. However, the way that this value is going into the negative side or negative axis of the sine wave, you can see that the emissive is actually being taken out and a negative emissive is being applied, which is like applying a shadow. We can fix this by we'll bring this down here and leave this 2 up here. I'm just going to apply another math node, and it'll be right down the bottom, the subtract. Hope you can see that. Now if we take the subtract node, what this does is whatever we plug into A, we subtract whatever we plug into B from it. So I'm just going to plug in 2 to A. I'm going to plug the sine into B. Now if we bring this up, nothing's happening at the moment. If I plug this into the multiply B here, we can see that nothing's happening. That's although in this window we can see that it is getting brighter. That's because we have got we can't see it on this node because it's actually going from a value of 1 or white to up to a value of 2 or very white, and this is resulting in this brightening and darkening here. If we wanted to see more of a result here, we can come down to this node and we can lower it to something like 1.5, and now you can see that it is actually reducing down, and this is sort of resulting in a lighting sort of level of 0.5 boost up to a 1.5 boost, or around that. Like I said, I don't really know the math. And if we wanted to slow it down, we can just take the period, make that 3.